You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
Look around! Look around! See what's happening, Rogal Dorn? The tower is tumbling down! No more running to daddy crying, look what I've built! It took you years to make this, and in one night, I rolled down upon you, crack your shield, and build a foothold!
Look. I don't have to. I see it all.
Oh?
I see your siege machines burning at the foot of the wall. I see your sonic weapons silenced. I see your host foolishly committed in its entirety, pouring into a wall that can be held by a force a tenth that size. And is held by a force a tenth that size. Imperial Fists, now bolstered by the 200 Legione Astartes veterans I brought with me. 200 veterans who are skilled in every doctrine of war, who have rallied this garrison and this wall stretch, and are now slaughtering the vanguard you so wantonly committed. They thank you for giving them such a wealth of bodies to reap. You have no foothold.
I have!
No. You're a fine fighter, but a poor strategist. You committed everything against a gap that could be held. You've burned the cream of your host for nothing. Made them cannon fodder. 9,000 dead and counting. I know, Fulgrim. I know everything.
You know nothing!
You've let yourself be used as a distraction. You've let your host be decimated for nothing. The Saturnine ruse, I know about that too, has failed. Perturabo played his move and lost his piece. You're just a pawn. Was it the Lord of Iron who fooled you into this? Lupercal? Abaddon? You must have been willing. Were you getting bored with it? The spear tip is broken. You're holding a gate for no one. You're just an idiot standing on a wall.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Call Lore. I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
And I'm Jerry.
This is an exciting one. This is one that we've been poked, prodded, yelled at for a while. So we are here to talk about Rogal Dorn. I'm floored with this guy. I love him. But I have to say, and I hope to either correct the misconception or at least put out a video that is slightly different, just like with our Logar episode where we were trying to not shit on Logar the whole time.
Right.
Because he does catch a lot of crap, but I do think he's very misunderstood and he's more tragic than he is mustache twirly.
Right.
Rogal is another one where the videos that I watched, getting into 40K before I started digesting the actual books themselves, the videos I watched for him, man, paint not an entirely different picture of his character, but I don't feel like they do him justice once you start reading his books.
Yeah. So my initial impression of him, just from like hearing about the guy and stuff, like, first of all, I had a hard time telling the difference between Rogal Dorn and Raboot Gilliman, for starters. Which
That's not a
I
problem.
hope that's not insulting to fans of these guys, but they just both seemed
vanilla.
Yes, that's
Yes.
a good word.
No,
for
no,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah. And happily, I found that that's not correct.
No.
Yeah, there's more texture and flavor to this guy than that. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I still kind of maintain that during the heresy, Gilliman is very vanilla.
Okay.
When you start getting into the Plague Wars, which is 40K proper, he's the only Primarch left. He's older. He's having to deal with the Terminids as well as the Necrons, as well as the Ecclesiarchy, the cult of the Emperor, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Then that dude starts becoming quite a cool character. Was it not the Plague Wars? Maybe it was the Plague Wars. I think that's the book series. But the one where he ends up fighting Praetorian when he comes back, man, he's good in that because he has. It's interesting to see a Primarch make choices that they just vehemently disagree with. Because usually, like if you're reading the Heresy, if a Primarch comes up against something a decision they don't want to make, they just won't fucking make it. They'll just do the opposite. They don't, consequences be damned.
Yeah.
But Gilliman in the, oh my God, I'm going to look it up because I'm going to reference it a couple of times.
All right.
Yep. I was right the whole time as the Plague War series.
Nice.
But I really liked him in that. He's a staunch, we'll do just a little sidestep here. Why not we? Cult of Lore diverting for a minute? Certainly not. But there's so Gilliman is definitely the main character of that book series. The second character that I would say, if there's a main character, is, so we're trying to record with Ripley here. Of course, she decides that a squeaky toy right under my chair is the way to go. Jerry, do you mind handing me one of those sticks?
Yeah. Hey guys, Future Eric here. Listen, I'm cutting in real quick because what you're about to witness is a monumental moment. Jerry's about to pun, and Ben is about to approve of Jerry's pun, okay? So just listen for it. I'm going to leave it relatively uncut, so just bear with me and really enjoy this as I have, please, and thank you.
Was it like the support leg to your fucking mic?
Holding up his mic stand.
I like to rig things together. Jerry rigging.
Jerry rigging.
You know what? Yes.
That one works.
That one works. Yep.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
That's the one. That's the one you get.
Nice. Good job, Jerry.
See, I told you. Didn't I tell you? By this time next year, Ben is going to be making puns of his own. I just know it. I can feel it in my future bones. I better get fireworks ready.
Because that is exactly what you do. You did it at my wedding. Yeah. Nope. I'm done with it. So anyway, the second kid, that's gonna be just a mower. If I say, what the fuck are they talking about?
What's happening?
Boy, I can't wait to see the audience drop on that moment.
It's so hard to make ththese edits when stuff like that happens. I'm like, how much content? I usually fall on you guys don't need much context, so I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, no, we generally err on editing less is the way to go.
Yes.
We cut out the ums and the uhs to save you guys your sanity.
Right.
If one of us forgets a fact or gets, needs to look something up, we cut that out too.
Yeah.
Just to save you guys the TikToking on that.
Right.
But largely, if we go off into tangents, you're just here for the ride.
Yep. So
scream at us in the comment section so we will ignore that one. I'll politely tell you that we're going to ignore that one. It'll be polite, but we're going to ignore it. We can't help it.
Welcome to the talk part of the Cult Talk.
There is a reason why that word is in the brand name. Yep.
Yeah. I don't like short form content, to be honest with you. 15 minutes is as short as I'll go, and 15 minutes kind of bugs me. 15 minutes is usually just long enough for me to get interested into a thing, and then they're like, and on to the next video. And I'm like, well, fuck you then. Anyway, the second character. So we'll get back from that sidestep into the original sidestep. So the second character in Plague Wars is a priest for the Imperial Faith, which Gilliman ardently disagrees with and hates. His name's Matthew, and he's like a flagellant. Like anytime he does anything that he thinks is against the Imperial Faith, which with these type of fuckers is, virtually anything.
Right.
He'll whip himself in private. And but I mean, it's weird because he's a really nice, humble character that you enjoy reading his point of view. And then he goes back and does these horrible things to himself. And you're just like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Whoa.
But Guilliman, like, basically appoints him as his second in command. Or like his emissary, even though he ardently disagrees with this because Guilliman is just like, I cannot fight the church.
Oh,
I want to.
Yeah.
He's like, you guys are an abomination to everything that I stand for and everything the Imperium is supposed to be. He's like, but I need somebody that can basically speak Greek.
He makes the political compromise there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see a Primarch kind of do that because they don't make compromises very often.
Yeah, no kidding.
They're not compromisey creatures.
They certainly are not.
It's like a practical compromise.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And it makes me, so they need to confirm something so that they can have, in my opinion, they need to confirm something so that they can start having a much larger conversation that I really want to see play out. They need to confirm that the Emperor is building a second Imperium in the warp. I need them to confirm that.
Sorry, have you talked about this on air before?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm sure
you
I
probably
have.
haven't you?
But just in case, like, because Primarchs tend to draw in new viewers,
right.
I believe that the end in the death helps confirm this, that when Horus damaged the Emperor, basically he was split into two. We now know, spoiler alert for the end in the death, that the Emperor basically bottled a portion of himself that cared about the Primarchs and shot it off into the warp to live or die. And he basically couldn't be concerned with what happened to that fragment of himself because he's too busy fighting Horus.
Yeah.
I think that fragment started setting up an Imperium inside of the warp, collecting the souls of like the Primarchs that were killed, like Ferrus Manus. We know that Ferrus Manus and Sanguinius are alive in the warp in their like soul forms.
Right.
So I think the Emperor knew eventually that mankind would not be able, between Chaos, the Xenos, and then the Tyranids.
Mm-hmm.
I keep saying the Terminids, you know that.
Yeah. Helldivers.
Helldivers. They had to make them so close. Yeah. You had to.
They did they did it on purpose.
I don't know if they did or not because, termites. So you could always be like, well, we based them off termites. But I'll fucking slap both of you. But anyway, I think that he knew that with the Tyranids, they just couldn't win. And I think he believed that the best option was to push into the warp. Right. So I need them to confirm that he's in there building an Imperium in the warp so that the, for lack of a better term, atheistic Primarchs now have to grapple with the idea of there being two emperors and one of them being basically an ethereal.
Boy, that's kind of a conundrum, isn't it? On a philosophical and religious level.
Having seen Guilliman's stance about the Imperial cult, I want to see him grapple with this reality.
Heck yeah.
And then Rogal, bringing it back to Rogal. Rogal was an even stauncher believer than Guilliman. Like, when he believed in something, he was even more unmovable than Guilliman.
Right.
So if Rogal is still out there, that would be even more. But Rogal's loyalty to the Emperor is, like, beyond any Primarchs. I would say even Sanguinius's. So
what do you do there? Because there's two of them, in this theory. Like, what does Rogal do with that?
Like, would that split his loyalty between the two?
Yeah, I don't, like, what if they give contradicting orders? Who do you pick?
God.
What do you do?
Makes my nipples hard just thinking about it.
I know. I love that kind of a conundrum in a story.
Yeah, that's why.
I hope that is the case.
That's why I want them to confirm that. But to confirm that would be a massive, I'm talking like an unstatable, huge movement in the story compared to what Games Workshop usually does.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I'll probably be dead and buried before they confirm that shit.
It is a slow-moving ship.
Anyway, so we're here to talk about Rogal Dorn, the Praetorian of Terra. Who is Rogal Dorn? What did he do? Where is he at now? Let's start with Jerry. Jerry, take us. Where did Rogal start?
To the origins.
The origins
of the Rogal Dorn.
The Rogal O.
The Rogal Do. The what? The Rogal O.
The Rogal O.
Origins.
The Rogal Origins.
Rogal O.
Origins is spelled with an O, you idiots.
I thought it was some kind of cereal.
Gotcha.
Rogalos.
Originos. So the ruinous powers.
Don't do public school, kids.
It's hard. It's hard on them. The ruinous powers grabbed the larval.
The larval Primarchs.
The larval Primarchs. In their nascent larval stage.
In all of my research of 40K, I've never heard them described as larval Primarchs. Okay, sure. I mean, that's kind of accurate.
Ooh, that's funny. I just get this I just envision our baby Primarchs now as little caterpillars.
I found nothing to confirm nor deny it.
Oh yeah,
Have
you
you
can't
se-
prove that it's wrong.
So have you seen like the artwork of the God Emperor from Dune when he ascends to like sandworm status?
Yes.
It's like a sandworm with just the face.
Yeah.
It's like a little one of those for each of the Primarchs.
That's great.
Squishy noises as it's moving around.
And then they emerge from their Primarch.
Oh,
cocoon.
come on. You know, they have that like that anime uwu face.
Oh, fuck. I'm going to have to find an anime
Oh,
your face.
Oh, not just that, but you're also going to have to do a larval Primarch
Fuck. All right. Larval Primarch it is.
with an uwu face. This is going to be the greatest creation since Colonel Sanders or Colonel
Corvax.
Colonel Corvax.
Yeah, Colonel Corvax.
Yes. So his larval stage was dropped on Inwit.
Inwit.
Yes,
What'd you call me?
an Inwit.
Ah. Okay.
So Inwit is this ice planet, and I thought it was kind of interesting that it sounded like Inuit, which
Yeah.
like by Eskimos.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's-
Although that is not how they roll on that planet. They are not Eskimos.
They're
No.
not Eskimos.
No.
Okay. No igloos?
Definitely not.
no. This planet is near the star for this planet is like old and dying, and it's giving off like a faint red light,
Okay.
and they're tidally locked with it. So like one side of the planet is always in darkness,
Okay.
and they call it the splintered land because it's got like crevices and mountains. And
Is it a death world? Do we know if
I-
Inuit is a death world?
I didn't find that it was a death world.
Certainly
But
sounds
it's,
like.
it's close to a death world because this has had like a civilized people on it for a really long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
They've even become like spacefaring.
Yeah. They do have. Yeah, I guess death worlds don't really get a chance to kind of go into the spacefaring
Yeah.
usually.
Interstellar.
Yeah, interstellar. Yeah, but they are in interstellar kingdom.
And like under the ice, there are like blind creatures that are like hunt by vibration and stuff.
Icky.
So the planet is it is a rough place. Like even on the bright side, it's like just bare rock and salty seas and like
Yeah.
ice and stuff.
It's shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the outer space of it are these ancient space stations and shipyards.
Yeah, they're from like the dark age of technology. Right?
Yeah, they're like
Ooh.
from way back.
Oh, space ruins?
Yeah, space ruins.
They get space ruins? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's basically nothing natural of value there
Okay.
Yeah, it's just all shit and ice.
Yeah.
except for the people, because the people that live there have endured this icy, terrible planet, and that makes them a certain sort of like enduring and tough.
Okay.
You know what?
Yeah.
Fuck it. We're going to classify them as a death world. To hell with Games Workshop.
It
Like,
sounds like it.
I-
I'm with it.
I
What
mean,
is-
Cadia was a death world, right? So
yeah, but Cadians are made out of just.
they're death people.
Yeah, the Cadians. I can't believe I didn't pick the Cadians yet in our infantry episode,
Yeah.
but they're coming. I love. If I could pick, I mean, obviously the planet's not there anymore. But if I could have, like in its heyday, if I could pick any planet to be born on, I'd Cadia.
Oh my God. That sounds.
Oh no! From the time that you're thinking of Catachan or Catacan.
Oh, I am. You're right. Forgive me. I did get those two mixed up.
No,
Yeah.
Cadia is a fortress world.
Oh,
Is that the
okay.
one that's kind of like Greek or Roman style?
Maybe. Anyway, they're born like from the you are raised in the military.
Oh, yeah. You would like that. Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
If I had to pick anything in the
Catachan.
no, not Catacan.
Right.
No. Catacan. I wipe my ass with being born in Catacan. Listen, I understand that you turn into Rambo if you survive, but 50% of the population dies in their infancy,
Yeah.
and then 50% of that dies before they're 10.
Ooh.
I like those odds.
What?
Okay, so Jerry's pro-abortion. There's no way you can square those two.
It's just a might is right kind of guy.
There are ways of doing might is right without reducing your population by 50 over 50% in 10 years. You can do that.
I like my chances.
It's just because it's a jungle planet and you're like, I will garden.
Oh, yeah. You would tame the plant life.
Yeah.
Jerry just
There we
becomes
go.
Swamp Thing.
Yes.
Now that would be badass.
Yeah.
Anyway. But not on Inuit. Or what is it? Inuit.
Inuit.
I have such a hard time pronouncing that one.
It's rough.
Yeah.
I keep wanting to say Inuit.
Yeah, I did too. The whole time I
Inuit.
was researching it.
Inuit.
Yes. So the people of Inuit value the tribe over the individual, and that soaks into Dorn when he grows up there.
So they're
greater good.
tough, they're enduring, and they value the greater over the individual. This is just like tailor-made.
For his personality?
Yes. Well, for the Imperium.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a better... What are you doing?
She's flopping around.
She's chasing a fly. Oh, Jesus. A mastiff chasing a fly. This should be great.
Yeah.
Anyway, can
Pick
you
up
imagine like a
something your
group of
inside.
people that's better tailor-made for the Imperium than a group that their core personalities are these?
You know, that's a great point. That those are kind of all the virtues that the Imperium values.
It's like if you could just had everybody land on that, on Inuit, damn it, and just produce that the whole time, you would have.
Yeah.
Like a perfect storm of value.
Yes.
For if you're going to build an army the way the Imperium does, yes. Were that he had an entire
Galaxy of Inuits.
Astartes of Imperial Fists, probably.
So when Dorn landed on this planet, he was adopted by a patriarch of the Ice class, the last name of Dorn.
I like that name. It's a good name.
It's a good name.
I think that'll end up being a Mastiff's name.
Ooh, that would be a good master.
Or Rogal. You know what? Rogal Dorn is
Rogal's
just a
good.
good, solid name all the way
Yeah.
around. Man, this really has turned me into like a Rogal Dorn fan. This dive.
Yeah,
Unexpected.
Very unexpected.
I think Dorn might be like Celtic for hand or something.
Oh, that would fit. That would make a
Fist.
lot of sense. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
he's the hand of the
Okay.
Emperor, the
Hmm.
Praetorian of Terra.
The guy that adopted him acted as like his grandfather and like his mentor and taught him, the strategies and the tactics and the diplomacy. And this is where he really respected this guy. And
Which, that speaks to the man because earning the respect of a Primarch, and it really doesn't matter who the Primarch is. There's no such thing as an easily impressed Primarch. Yeah, they don't exist. So if you have earned this dude's respect, you must be a dude.
it's to the point where he had like a fur-lined cloak.
Oh yes, yeah. He kept it on his bed and slept with it every night after the man had passed away as a sign of
Aw.
respect.
Wow.
I tried really hard not to think of it as like a safety blanket
Yeah. Yeah, that
because
came to mind.
I know it's more serious than that.
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
I stopped myself from making that joke.
Well,
You know what? Nobody talks shit about Lionel from the Peanuts.
Oh.
He walks around with his blanket.
Right.
Nobody. When they mention
That's
when they talk about the Peanuts, they mention that he's got a blanket. Nobody talks shit about him though.
Yeah.
Good. That's a good point. I never thought about that.
And you know what? Again, this has turned me into a Rogal Dorn fanboy, so I'll stand up for him on this one. This guy doesn't seek comfort in a fucking thing.
yeah.
So if the dude wants a teddy bear, let him have his fucking teddy bear.
Yeah, I think it's a fair,
You know what?
Honestly,
ground
for
to
what
give.
you're getting. Yeah.
Yeah, for the trade-off, take it.
Yeah.
And go up to him and talk shit about it. Go ahead.
I think I've even seen some artwork of him where he's got it on him. Like,
Yeah,
like a-
I actually do think which leads me to question, I'm like, how big was this cloak on this guy?
yeah.
Did it like sit on his throne? Well, so if it's an ice planet, I wonder if the throne was made out of ice and therefore he had like this big cloak that
could
kind of
be.
like enveloped him.
Draped
Because
over.
I don't, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think they've done Rogal's like origin Primarch book.
Oh, interesting.
I couldn't
Okay.
find it on Audible because
Yeah.
I really I'm going to continue to read more. I did too.
Yeah.
And I'm because I really continue because I really like Rogal, but they don't have his Primarch book.
Yeah, there wasn't as much as
So I don't.
I wanted to find more, but there
Yeah.
was-
So I
There's
don't think.
some things that are more vague.
So I don't think they've done his book yet, which is wild.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I want more details.
lends me a theory, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay.
So Rogal did what
does
Primarchs do. Increased the society's standing and made everything better. Technology. They did the spacefaring. Like they increased that.
Of course.
They Inwit became like a hub for like colonizing the planets in the Inwit cluster. Which were around there.
It became Ultramar, basically. It became the center of the...
Yeah.
So, all right. What do you think baby Rogal was doing when they found him? They weren't all doing, So, like, Kurz was crawling out of a hole covered in molten lava, which was, again, had to be just absolutely terrifying. For it's a completely dark planet, and then all of a sudden there's this molten Primarch baby crawling out of the ground. They found Perturabo scaling a cliff. So
Okay.
I think it was Sanguinius was attacked and killed like these creatures that were attacking people. So it's not like they were just laying in their baskets doing,
Right. Lehman went feral and joined a wolf pack.
Yeah, he was rocking with some wolves.
Yeah.
So what was baby Rogal doing when they found him?
Making margaritas with ice. Clubbing baby seals? No, full-grown seals.
Full-grown, yeah, full-grown seals.
Drinking the ocean water and lowering the sea levels.
Paul Bunyan. I think
/Thor.
I bet he was building his own little like fortress out of
makes
ice.
Sense. That was kind of what I was thinking. He was packing snow into a shelter
like
or
Superman's
something
Fortress
like that.
of Solitude.
Yeah.
Putting so much pressure to the snow that it turned to ice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or was able to just like gouge out ice.
Yeah, just carve it out by poking it or punching it fist. Yeah.
No, I bet he got like rock or something that he made into a tool to shave the ice because he's very precise.
Okay. Yeah. Precise with the ice.
What do you guys think baby Rogal was doing when they found him?
Yeah.
Was he building a fortress or was he clubbing man seals? Have either of you seen... Oh, God. Must be a good day today. Have either of you guys seen the movie Tusk?
No.
I watched a synopsis of it.
Yeah. I know enough.
So just imagine that when you say man seal.
Oh, boy.
That's not an image you're going to find up there.
Justin.
I'm not doing it. I don't even want to look at it. He looks too much like me.
Isn't that
then
just...
he becomes a walrus.
Yeah, it's disturbing how much Eric looks like Justin.
Yeah. Oh, like I get that. You know how uncomfortable it is to watch yourself on camera? Like I get that with this fucking guy.
Yeah.
Like that's how much this actor and I look alike.
Yeah.
I hate it. And then he does this stupid Tusk movie and I'm like, you desecrated our face, bro. Not cool.
You guys have similar personalities too.
I don't want to hear that. He's such a weenie.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Whatever. I actually think
You're right.
I actually think he's an actor that doesn't get enough credit. I actually really like him. I've never seen anything in him, and I've never seen him in anything where he's the one that drives me nuts.
Yeah, he's not usually the problem in a movie. He is good. He's good at playing a weenie. Sorry, Justin. He has a podcast. Maybe I'll be on it someday with him. That'd be cool.
Roasting weenies.
He was not. Oh my God, he was not a weenie in. I will stand up for the fact that he was not a weenie in Jeepers Creepers.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, he even says like I'm thinking past the point of my own pointless existence, and then is brave enough to go down that pipe to try to rescue somebody that he thinks might need help.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
He is not a weenie.
But he has that stupid rose tattoo on his belly button.
Listen, I don't know what that's about.
Me neither.
I mean, I have my suspicions, but I ain't doing it. I like the first two movies, so like I have some suspicions about why certain things exist in that movie, in those two movies.
Okay.
But because I like them enough. And yes, this is biased, and this is me doing brain bleach to keep these movies so where I can keep watching them. At me about it, I don't fucking care. Yeah, we all know what he did. But I think it's a symptom of the problems with the guy that wrote it and directed it.
I see. Oh, okay. Gotcha.
There's some interesting shot placements and things on some of the male actors that are...
Okay. Gotcha.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So the rose tattoo being on the belly button doesn't make sense until you're like, well, if you consider things outside the movie, it makes sense.
I see.
Ooh,
which is always creepy.
Is that meta context?
Let's just say that guy's not going to be in Hollywood for a while.
Oh.
Actually, you know what? He might. They don't seem to care.
Nothing's off the table anymore.
No, they don't seem to give a shit.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised he's not back.
They certainly don't have Dorn's integrity.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that, getting us back on track, Eric. The audience certainly appreciates it.
Yes.
But let us know what you think Baby Dorn was doing when they
what
found
he was
him.
doing when they found him. Yeah.
Just flint napping the planet.
What?
Flint napping the planet.
What's a flint nap?
Oh, it's when you crush the rocks to make like tools, like sharp tools. You can make arrows and
It's called
Stone
napping.
Age technology. It's called
Okay.
napping.
Okay.
Usually we do it with flint.
With flint. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Tool
Okay.
builder.
So Dorn did what Primarchs do. Made the planet better.
Yep.
Made the people better. Did the spacefaring thing. These people also were like warlike because there were different tribes that they would battle with, and they kept that going. Like there was still
A war tradition going on.
tradition.
Yeah.
So they would train to be warriors. These people would.
Okay.
So
I see.
now there were spacefaring warrior people that were inhabiting planets in the cluster,
Led by a Primarch.
led by a Primarch.
Yeah.
He got one of the space stations he took for himself as like a big starship, and he called it the Phalanx.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's his flagship.
Yes, that's his flagship.
Okay.
That's 40 years after his grandfather's death is when the Great Crusade reached and went,
Okay.
and the Emperor comes, and they meet on that flagship. Actually,
Oh, okay. They meet aboard the flagship.
yes,
Nice. Now, phalanx, that's like a military formation of
Yes.
some sort, right?
yeah,
Okay.
like have you seen 300?
Yes.
You know how they line up with like shield on their left to protect the guy, and then
Yeah.
a spear on the right. And
Yeah.
their shield is actually for the guy next to them, and then the guy next to them has the shield for them.
Right.
That sort of formation is a phalanx.
Okay. Okay. Which also kind of fits what we know about like their attitude towards like society. Like, yeah. Setting the community above the individual. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And so then the Emperor shows up, and he's got this, already a space fleet ready to go, people ready to, fight,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, this is really good.
So Dorn doesn't really resist
No, I think
joining like a lot of Primarchs do.
Yeah, he immediately was like, okay, this is good. I'm with the Emperor now, and I understand this. This is the bond that I'm going to do, and I will do anything for this guy, kind of thing.
Nice. Okay. I kind of have this thought because you said that most Primarchs look at the person that raised him as like a father before meeting the Emperor.
Mhm.
This guy he viewed as a grandfather, and I wonder if that helped ease Rogal's view of his relationship with the Emperor.
I bet it did, because he was already in the practice of learning from someone else.
Right, but it wasn't like a replacement father figure because it was a grandfather, and he didn't have a father figure until the Emperor came in
Yes.
to fill that for him, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
This origin, compared to some of the other Primarchs, he had a pretty good situation.
Yeah.
Like-
Sounds like it was pretty easy as far as like joining up went. Like there's no, like even Lehman had to he tested the Emperor with different trials, and some Primarchs just outright were like, no. And he was like, yeah, no, you're coming with me anyway, and forces them on, stuff like that.
Yes. Until we get more details.
Right.
Could change that. But
Okay.
as far as I could tell,
Oh,
it
right.
seemed like a smooth transition.
Smooth transition.
All right, lads, I'm back. Where we at?
We have met the Emperor
We have met the Emperor.
on his ship,
we
the
were
Phalanx.
The Phalanx.
Commenting on how smooth it seemed to go for him compared to other Primarchs.
Well, very little details at all. We do know that he met on the bridge of the Phalanx.
Right. Yeah.
So that's somewhat unusual.
Oh,
Usually the Emperor meets them down on the planet to which
yeah.
they rule.
Yeah.
So either that's where he pledged his loyalty, and that's not where they first met,
Okay.
or it could be that Rogal had managed to set up, all those old Dark Age technology fortresses.
Uh-huh.
He might have been set up in those, and then they met aboard the Phalanx.
in an official capacity.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
okay.
So there's some things that we might be able to draw from that, but not a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah. That is interesting. The difference between meeting the other Primarchs, like on their planet's surface that they rule. It's almost like encroaching on their turf in a way, like making that kind of a statement. Like I can step in wherever I want versus meeting Rogal in orbit aboard his flagship, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Well-
wonder what that says about either his attitude towards the flagship. Maybe he's just always there once he establishes it.
It would
Or-
be a different perception, like if you're like on a planet not normally involved in space travel, and then this golden ship comes out,
Yeah.
as opposed to being already in space, surrounded by spacefaring vehicles, and then
Yeah.
a golden ship shows up.
Right. It's a little more equal footing feeling as far as that goes.
Well, so if this is the case, and we're speculating here because obviously his book could come out and that could be completely changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I believe that Rogal was the actual second in command, not Horus. So we know that Horus was named War Master. We also know now that the Emperor knew whoever took the title of War Master was going to fall. They were going to be targeted by chaos to the point where
Okay.
he just couldn't protect them. So he names Horus War Master, but before any of that comes up, he already named Dorn Praetorian of Terra.
Okay.
So I think Horus's was almost like a false promotion, like
A decoy for chaos.
for chaos to go after.
Okay.
He's like, but Dorn, if he were able to promote whoever he could without chaos looming over him, in my opinion, it probably would have been Dorn.
Right. Okay.
And the reason why it wouldn't have been Sanguinius, even though Sanguinius probably would have been the successor to the throne if there were going to be such a thing, is because Sanguinius needed to be free to be out amongst the people. He needed to be the miracle in the Imperium,
Okay.
He couldn't afford to be the one tied to a desk.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I see what you mean. He, not that he was just a symbolic figure, but he needed to be out as a symbolic
You don't
figure.
put the Primarch with gigantic white wings behind a desk.
Yeah. You make him Katniss Everdeen. You put him in front of the camera. You put him out there. I'm sorry. That was not a Ben rolled his eyes. And rightfully
Yeah,
so.
sure.
That was not a great. But that kind of principle of like,
Yes.
you need the figure.
You need a symbol.
Yeah. Yeah. You need somebody.
Captain
to rally.
America.
Captain America.
You
There we
need,
go.
you need a rallying figure, and Sanguinius is most definitely that.
Yeah.
So he, while would be a good choice, I think if the Emperor had his way, it would have been Dorn.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why, like in the fandom, and let us know if you guys would be interested in us doing our own version of this. It's called the Dorian Heresy. It's what if Dorn had been basically you switch
Okay.
the loyalists and the Primarchs.
It's a
the
what if
loyalists and
story.
the loyalists and the traitors. And
Neat.
a lot of channels have their own like version, like who falls to what god, who fights where, how does that play
That's
out?
cool. Okay.
We could very easily do the same thing.
Heck yeah, we could. That'd be a lot of fun. Man, I love those kind of what if theories and stuff.
Elseworlds.
Elseworlds. I saw a channel did that with Harry Potter. Like, what if Harry had joined Slytherin instead of Gryffindor? Yeah. So they did a whole what if thing. I love this sort of stuff. So I'm definitely down. If you guys are interested in listening to something like that, please do let us know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Real quick, just like a preview of what I think. So we know that Khorne wanted the Blood Angels, like he wanted Sanguinius, right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
I don't believe for a fucking second that the other three would have allowed him to have such a fucking hardcore champion.
Okay. Yeah. They'd have fought him for that.
I think that
Okay.
instead of, because like, I think they would have wanted to take Sanguinius and dump all of, do the Horus thing to him. I think if Dorn takes over, I don't think it breaks the same way. I don't think the one that has the most power is the one that's leading the army.
Okay.
I think they would dump their power into Sanguinius or want to, but I don't know that Khorne would let them. And then that would be a whole problem with them. And then Dorn would have to try to do it sans warp powers.
Oh yeah. No, I guess he's not inclined to any sort of psych or anything, is he?
No.
At least no more so than Primarchs are.
So I've seen passive uses of warp power from most of the Primarchs. I don't think I've encountered any passive use from Rogal.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Now it might be his ability to cast inspiration, for lack of a better term.
A bardic spell.
Yeah, because basically he has this ability to just overwhelm people's sense of not even dread, but their own sense of personal safety.
Okay.
He can rally them into almost being suicidal.
He inspires them. Yeah.
Past what you would call past reasonable.
Okay.
But he's also a Primarch, and they can just kind of sometimes do that shit. So is that a latent part of his psyker? Because I do think all of them have some psyker potential.
Right.
But I have not seen it from Dorn. Or at least I don't. If I have, I haven't recognized it.
Yeah. Or it's been subtle enough that
I didn't recognize it. With Lehman, there was a time where he was in the middle of a fight and it started to snow and lightning.
Yeah. Just a bunch of wind blowing up too.
He has passive control over ice storms and things like that.
Yeah.
But who knows? So Rogal Dorn in the Heresy. He actually is kind of interesting in the Heresy in that that's where we're at, right?
Well, he met the Emperor.
Yeah. No, we're still keep going, Jerry. I'm sorry. I jumped over.
Once he joins up with the Emperor. Yeah.
Okay. So the Great Crusade, through the Great Crusade, Rogal does basically what you would think. He is the spear tip, and a lot of times they conquer planets pretty regularly. They do it without major incident almost all the time.
And I like his approach to it with just he definitely in his tactics has the future in mind.
Yes.
He's very clear on the Emperor's vision of this is about compliance. This is about bringing them into the fold.
Yeah.
He that seems to be very first and foremost in his mind. He avoids certain tactics that might win them a victory kind of easily and save some Astartes' lives, but he thinks his thinking is, a couple of
our deaths is worth
bringing them into compliance. What if we harm a politician's family or something like that?
Yeah, it's why he doesn't do
shells.
He doesn't really like orbital bombardments. They're too imprecise.
Right. So he needs to be more precise than that, because the goal in his mind, and I do see, I think, where other Primarchs kind of do lose sight of it during these crusades, but in his mind, he's very much no, the future of this planet that we're approaching right now is to be part of our community.
Yeah, these are already our brothers, and we need to treat them as such. Unfortunately, we have to do the thing.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes you have to.
And he's very regretful about it.
There's
in the one book, motherfucker goes way outside of his lane to give them extra chances.
Yeah, just keeps calling for surrender.
The book is him taking on basically a human empire.
Yeah.
And they shoot at his ships, they shoot him down, they blow up his ships, and he's listen. And because they haven't established any communication with him at all, he won't go to open war with him. He's listen, even though they've shot at us and they've destroyed ships and stuff, we don't know that they're hostile and that this isn't a miscommunication. So until I can actually tell them that we're not here to fight, and then they reject that, we're not going to beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's like the grown up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely big time in a big way. They're losing people, and he's kind of, facing obviously some pushback, but he's for all they know, for all that we know, they know they're defending themselves from an invading force.
Yes. We've not been able to talk to them at all.
Yeah. To let them know that,
And they know that other ships have been destroyed in that sector. So they're he also considers that they might have been fighting a hostile force already.
Yeah.
That they don't know about.
He's gives them every benefit of the doubt.
Literally every benefit.
Absolutely. Yeah. In ways that I just haven't seen from other Primarchs. It's usually just shout at us, wipe them out. You know,
normally it's a one warning and done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's very much it. So, yeah, I think at at least at this point in his timeline, Rogal is probably the most compliant himself to what the mission is, the most loyal to
almost
the vision.
to a detriment.
Right.
And it's not like he doesn't have personality problems.
Right.
There's a definite scene in the same book where it's him, the Lion, Fulgrim, and Horus, and they're discussing kind of how to handle this sector that they're all moving into because, it's unknown, it's unmapped. They know that any reconnaissance ships that they've sent out have not returned. So there's some looming threat out there that's pretty sizable. They have like a star chart that shows them how the stars are laid out just because, it's kind of a mathematical thing, but they haven't really mapped it much. And they're all disagreeing on how to like proceed. They're not disagreeing. They're all discussing how to proceed. It's Rogal is the one that disagrees. And this is where you get a glimpse of like his unwaveringness can sometimes be a little too much. He wants to just go straight into the middle. And the others are like, well, we want to, like the Lion wants to do kind of this spiral pattern working outwards. Fulgrim is kind of being a bitch and just riding the rails the whole time. He's like, I will go with whatever anybody wants to go with because Fulgrim's kind of a douche that way.
Yeah. But the Lions, because the whole problem was like they couldn't, like their navigators couldn't, right? That's the name.
Yeah.
Navigators couldn't see very well through it. So it was all a matter of like, how do we deal with this kind of blind spot in the warp and real space in there and stuff. So.
And Rogal he's like, no, we have a direct, like the Emperor says you are to go forth and do a thing. And he interprets that as to like literally straight line, go do the thing.
Just barrel in.
And it's like, well, that, progress is not always measured by just straightforward Rogal.
Yeah.
But he will not accept that. And he I think he calls the Lion a coward, doesn't he?
He does.
Which
he's slightly more diplomatic than that, but the Lion is just like, say what it is that you're saying.
Oh, yeah. That was a good moment. The Lion's like, you're trying to be nice about this dolt. And Rogal's like, okay.
Yeah.
I hate you.
He's like, you're calling me a coward or lazy or both. So,
and Rogal basically was like, well, pick which one you think it is and go with that.
Yeah. He got sassy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause and so Horus not being a very good leader in my opinion, which is another thing I think supports my theory that the Emperor picked him as like kind of a layup pick. Like, yeah, people point to like his charisma, like Horus's charisma and like his ability to woo people. That doesn't work on the Primarchs very well.
Right. Yeah. Because they're at least...
They recognize that he's able to do the thing, but he doesn't do it to them very much.
Yeah, it's not going to fool them.
Or at least it doesn't seem to.
Yeah.
The ones that side with him, they're not wooed by his charisma. They already wanted a thing that he was offering.
Yeah, they had cracks that were just exploitable.
So Horus comes in and, okay, like the way to me, the Tale of Solomon and splitting the baby, right? King Solomon. So two women come up with one baby. They complain to King Solomon saying that they're both the mother.
Yeah, and arguing over which one.
Arguing over who gets to keep the baby. So Solomon goes, all right, I'm going to saw the baby in half and you each get a half. One of the women goes, no, I don't want the baby hurt. Give it to her rather than do that. And Solomon goes, we're giving it to her because she cared enough to sacrifice herself for the child.
Yeah.
That's what Horus should do as a leader in this situation. You have two people that are disagreeing on how to go about. Now, leadership is an opinion. Leaders are always different. And so this is just from my point of view. I get the temptation to try to find a compromise between the two. But when you're dealing with characters like the Primarchs, when you have a dispute between people that are combative, that are just not going to let it go, you have to have a winner and a victor, or a winner and a loser. That's just the way these things ham out. And if you don't do that, they're going to figure it out themselves. I've been in jobs where we've had two guys get into an argument and you had to pick one because if you just tried to split the baby, they wouldn't they're not going to deal with the compromise. And that's, in my opinion, what you have here with Rogal and the Lion. But Horus just kind of goes, well, we'll do both. I'm like, no, you should have picked one, because the idea is that they're both testing your authority. You need to make them adhere to what you want to do.
Right. As War Master,
yes.
You do need to, because honestly, I feel like a lot of the times when you're making decisions like that, how to approach a situation, even if you make the wrong choice and fully commit to it, it can probably, I feel like, turn out better
than the half approach.
Yeah, doing half measures and stuff like that. Because then at least you have something to follow through on that gets you over the hump or whatever, in whatever hypothetical situation,
Yes,
but
this kid. Now, luckily, in this situation in particular, you have Rogal and the Lion. They're both honorable men, so it doesn't fester. But doing this kind of A and B thing can cause festering to happen, because you're not putting this fight to bed. Yeah. So, in my opinion, this is just another time where Horus proves that he wasn't the best man for the job, which is probably why he got the job.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Yeah.
But the Lion and Rogal decide to have an honor duel to settle the insult portion of it.
Now, wasn't that they had champions fight for them, right?
Because it
wasn't them versus
because they didn't want to, they didn't want to engage in personal battle, which is very interesting when you look at, like, say, Lehman and Angron.
Right. Yeah.
Who are all about settling the dispute themselves.
Yeah.
And they each elect a champion. Rogal's champion loses. And so Rogal issues an apology to the Lion. And I mean, it's a good apology.
Yeah.
It's an honest one.
It really was. He is good for all his pride that he apparently has. He is super good at humbling himself at the right time. And just using his judgment on when to be humble and when to stand his ground, I thought it was a very genuine sounding apology. I almost wish we could quote it right here.
Yeah, but we might try to find it and do something there.
It sounds like he's willing to take on the burden of these kind of things.
Yeah, and he's willing to take on the burden of being wrong, which is what makes him a good leader.
Yeah. And so another, just onto his leadership, something that's really impressed me too, earlier than this dispute between him and the Lion, they were negotiating compliance with a planet. Violently, it came to that, unfortunately. And he had a moment where he was given command of the situation. The Lion was also there, and Rogal he played out some orders and then gave the command for his fleet to move into position, basically alongside Lionel
to support the Lion,
and said that we'll await his command now. And his dude on the bridge, whoever was talking to him, was kind of like, well, you were given command, and he said, and now I'm relinquishing it to the person in the best position to give it to
make the call,
to make those calls.
Again, keeping that overarching goal in mind over individual success. So I've been very impressed with his leadership and personality.
So this book is called, the book we're talking about, which is pre-heresy, is called The Praetorian of Dorn. It's a 6-hour book on Audible. That's nothing. It's a good one. For the short, it's a short book. What you get out of it, you get a lot of Primarch in that. Not just Rogal, but...
Let me just double check you on the title. Rogal Dorn, the Emperor's Crusader?
The Emperor's Crusader. Okay, Praetorian of Dorn, I think, is the one I'm reading now.
Ooh, okay.
Let me check. Yep, Praetorian of Dorn is the one that
you're currently reading.
I just more or less finished.
Okay.
I've got like a few little bit left in it, but spoiler alert, Alfarius is dead.
What? You can't just drop that?
Damn it. No, we'll get there.
Okay.
But so the heresy is really when we get into the heresy, it's really interesting for Dorn. He plays no part at all in the first half.
Huh.
And then he plays all the part in the second half. Because he's there at the very beginning. So Rogal intercepts the Eisenstein.
Oh yeah. I couldn't remember if it was him or Gilliman from when I read the book. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he intercepts the Eisenstein. He is the first Primarch to receive word of the heresy outside of the drop site massacre, of course. And he gets it from Garrow's mouth himself and damn near beats Garrow to death just for speaking the words against Horus.
Oh.
It was so outside of Dorn's realm. He was like, well, clearly you've just committed treason by saying that.
Yeah, just beats the shit out of him. Well, I mean, it's more like he punches him once, but that's beating
the shit out of him.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
If you get, he got full on punched by a Primarch.
Yeah,
like the fact that he didn't die is intense.
Yeah.
But that piece of information more or less takes him out of the first half of the heresy, because right after that, he beelines right back to Terra and sits out most of it.
Huh. Oh, yeah.
Because he spends that entire first half just reinforcing Terra into like
nice
insanity.
Okay, nice. He's like, nope. All right. If that's what's up, I know what I'm up against.
Yep. He starts collecting information about who's siding on what and starts building appropriately. He knows he's going to have to go up against Perturabo.
Okay, smart.
And basically, he's holding defensive position in Terra until a group of Alpha Legion sneak in, and there's a hall that has like all of the statues of the Primarchs. And the Alpha Legion blows up all of the statues for the exception of Alfarius and Rogal. And the Alpha Legion's also been launching strikes against Terra and the surrounding planets like the Moon and Pluto. Pluto is where the majority of what I'm getting ready to talk about goes down.
Okay.
Well, actually, no, it's worth a book review, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing.
Okay.
It's worth a book review. It's pretty fucking cool.
Okay.
Rogal's really cool in this. Alfarius is pretty cool in this. There's a lot to this. It's worth a book review. But the long and the short of it is, Alfarius for some reason challenges Dorn to a one-on-one on the space base of Pluto.
Okay.
And so through all the machinations of the Alpha Legion, he gets Dorn there and they get into a one-on-one confrontation and Alfarius is killed. Dorn fucks him up.
Okay.
Dorn basically because Dorn has a double-bladed chain axe or a chain sword. You know, Storm's Teeth. It's gigantic.
Yeah.
Goddamn thing. If you see pictures of it, it's the size of an Astartes.
Oh shit.
So the blade of it is what, 8 foot tall?
Yeah.
It's like a Zweihander, like we've discussed on the Chainsword episode, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 8 foot tall and it's probably as wide as a regular human.
That's wild.
But he catches Alfarius under the armpit with it.
Oh.
And then just carves up his rib cage.
Oh.
And then takes Alfarius' spear, plunges it, impales him through the chest with it.
Oh.
And then brings Storm's Teeth down on his skull.
Ooh.
Oh. Okay. Wow.
Which then results in the telltale sign of an actual Primarch being killed. Light leaks from Alfarius, and then there's like an explosion of light and energy.
Oh, damn.
When he passes away.
I was going to say, it still could be a trick, right?
It could be Omegon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Or there's always that outside, so the Hydra, the symbol of the Alpha Legion, has 3 heads, not 2.
Oh, okay.
Right.
A lot of people, they say that it represents the 2 Primarchs plus the Legion.
Mm.
But it very well could represent 3 Primarchs.
3rd Primarch, yeah.
So
who knows what the fucking Alpha Legion?
Yeah, anytime you say so we're really gonna piss off people when we do the Alpha Legion, because every sentence is gonna end with the word allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yep.
Because all of it is maybe, kinda, sorta, in a way, possibly. It could have happened that way. Might not have happened that way. Sort of. A little bit iffy.
To our knowledge.
Yep. The report says all those variations that make it kind of almost not true. You're gonna have to use that every time. But Pluto seems to be about as far away from Terra as Dorn got during the heresy.
Wow. Okay.
Obviously, once the traitors start sieging Terra, it's game on for Dorn. There's all of the books. He's in practically every Siege of Terra book at some point, and most of the time he's just got a hollow table in front of him and a fuck ton of screens, and he's just watching everything all at once,
cool.
Assimilating all the data, walking around, pressing radio buttons, talking to this squad, that squad,
orchestrating the defenses.
Yep.
Cool.
And regardless of what those the the ball-sucking Iron Warrior fans will say.
Whoa.
He beats the living pus out of Perturabo, makes him look like a punk bitch. Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
did you read the Siege of Terra? Like, there's so many times where Perturabo thought he was pulling off like some cool little maneuver, and then like the entire tunnel would flood with rockcrete and just entomb the entire force, and Rogal's like, got him. Like, that happened like so many times, and people are like, oh, Perturabo would have won. It's like the only reason why Perturabo would have won if they'd have kept going is just because that's how sieges work. If the outside forces have literally unlimited resources and can just hammer, they will eventually win.
Right.
It's got nothing to do with skill. So fuck out of here with that Perturabo would have won garbage. He won because he had access to unlimited resources, not because he was better than Rogal.
Yeah.
I think the Siege of Terra definitively proves that Rogal is smarter than Perturabo. Like, Rogal, I think, even says that Perturabo is better, but I don't give a shit what people say.
So
I'm looking at what happens in the fights.
yeah, well, and I think to your point there with Rogal saying something like that is like Rogal has a self-awareness and an emotional intelligence that I don't think Perturabo has.
Perturabo has the self-awareness of an amoeba.
Right. So I think Rogal acknowledging that, because you could beat a superior opponent if you know them well enough or know your own limitations well enough to strike at the right time or whatever tactically
And I argue by that
happens.
very definition, they are not a superior opponent.
Well, sure, but I guess then it depends on the framing, right? Are they superior as far as numbers, resources, or whatever? And, tactics. You can out-tactic somebody who's supposed to be better at tactics.
Just as far as from what I've read and from where I'm standing, and sometime I'll just have to post a list of the books that I've plowed through so that people can so that people can go, okay, you haven't read this one, and this one, and those are the missing chapters that you have.
Right.
Because, that's always possible. I'm not going to discount that. Everything is from what I've read so far.
Yeah.
Rogal beats the shit out of Perturabo. 9 times out of 10, which is enough to say he's better. But Rogal gets locked into a Cornite hell dimension during the Siege of Terra. Like the influence of the warp on Terra becomes so heavy that Rogal finds himself sitting in a desert, basically against the sides of a fortress.
Huh.
And he doesn't remember how he got there.
Oh, fuck.
And he has no memories except for what he can keep repeating to himself. So he just repeats, I am Rogal Dorn, Praetorian of Terra, and he starts laying out the history of war.
Ooh.
He's just telling himself all of these things to kind of keep himself there.
Grounded. Yeah.
Yep. And he takes a rock or a stick, I can't remember what it is. He takes the thing and he starts etching plans on how to escape from this desert. But then it gets to the point where he doesn't remember why he's etching the plans. He just knows that he needs to.
Shit. Okay.
But he's still repeating all of this stuff because he's so stubborn that even though all of these memories are melting away, his brain's able to hold on to, you need to do this thing.
Wow.
And so he just does until the Emperor goes on to the oh fuck, what is Horus's flagship?
Is it Vengeance? Something to do with
the Vengeful Spirit. Yeah. Thank you. And basically starts just whooping ass. And he sends out this call. Did either of you watch the 90s X-Men cartoon?
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, my X-Men.
Yeah.
He basically does that. And Rogal's I hear it. I don't know what it is. I don't know who it is, but I've got to get to them now. And this is how I do it. And he just goes through the wall basically. And it basically forces himself out of the Cornite hell dimension to the Emperor.
Wow.
I haven't finished part 3, which is where the Emperor is more or less slain. And Rogal, I'm assuming it's Rogal that finds him and carries him all the way back to Terra.
I think you're right. I think it is Rogal that finds him. Yeah.
Well, so
that is what I read.
Yeah.
So
to be determined.
Yeah.
But right now, that is what we presume.
Right.
Yeah.
Never assume anything until you read the book itself.
Right.
Not with this shit.
Yeah.
So I can't, if that is the case, I can't imagine what that's going to be like. Because Rogal was the most loving of the sons, for the exception of maybe
Yeah.
Sanguinius.
Yeah. No, Rogal was definitely like a true believer in his father.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Rogal's. Oh, that's not true, is it? Nope. But that's okay. It's mostly true. I love the way Rogal handles his men.
Yeah.
So going back to the scene where they had the honor duel between champions, when his champion loses, Rogal is really good to him. He doesn't get upset at him. He literally sits him down. He's like, "This is why you lost. This is what you didn't do. This is what you could have done." And he's like, basically like, "But this is not war. So don't worry about it."
Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah. Duel, not war. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the champion takes it way harder than Rogal does, even though it's Rogal's apology that's on the line.
Right. Yeah.
Now, that being said, the mirror image of that is what happens when Rogal finds out that Sigismund, who is one of his like top children, Sigismund is the best single duelist in like the Astartes history.
Right. Okay.
He found out when he finds out that Sigismund, and he was also the head of the Black Templars. So the Black Templars were not a chapter.
Right.
They were a section, a specific sect of warriors in the Imperial Fists that then became a chapter.
Right. Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
Sigismund, when he finds that Sigismund is a believer in the Imperial cult, he basically like says, "You're not my son anymore. I have no need for you, nor want for you to be in my legion. You're too talented to waste as a killer. So go out and kill and don't come back. Just be gone with you." And Sigismund kind of hovers in that kind of zone until the Emperor, this is during the Siege of Terra, chooses him to be like the Emperor's executioner. Because Sigismund is just that good.
Huh.
The Emperor gives him a black sword that is, from the dark age of technology, and tells him to go out and slay the enemy champions.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so he's just out there.
Hit the big targets.
Yep. Out there during the Siege of Terra, just finding the biggest, nastiest guys that he could and challenging them to a one-on-one duel, which the Astartes are just going to go for. They can't not.
Mm-hmm.
They can't resist a good duel.
No. Especially if you're calling them out, that's not going to be. So there's a case there where Rogal's adherence to things was really he was not compassionate to Sigismund. He did not take into account anything that Sigismund had gone through to get to that imperial faith, nor would he listen to anything that Sigismund had to say about what he had witnessed.
Yeah.
That led him to believe that there was some divine energy, certain miracles that happened that were for one, Euphrates Keeler was able to repel demons and exorcise them using a symbol of the Aquila and just the faith, her faith in the Emperor.
Yeah.
And when you see shit like that, you have to be able to account for it, or else people are going to, it's going to turn into a religion. Rogal wouldn't even listen to him about these type of things. It was just, nope. And because of that, he really did abandon a loyal, faithful, good, talented son.
Yeah.
That he really didn't need to.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
I will say, though, to his credit as a leader and father to his legion, too, I like his approach to communication with the legion. His approach is like anything that he can hear from somebody, those present in his legion can, too. He wants them to, he's not stepping aside to have private conversations with Primarchs. They're just having it right there with them. And his reasoning is that he doesn't want, if something happens to him, he doesn't want his legions to just be beholden to whatever his final orders were. He wants them to know and understand as much about what he's trying to do as they can so that they can make their own judgment calls.
The full section of a tactical map.
Exactly.
With information.
Just all the information that he possibly can to them. So he kept no secrets from them.
I also think that he also didn't want them to have, he did not want to turn control of his legion over to the Codex Astartes. I mean,
Right.
he did, but he didn't want to.
Yes.
So I also think part of that was his like, so if something happens to me, you guys can't come to my legion and say, hey, this happened. And that's not true.
Right.
They know firsthand what my orders are, what my wishes were, and what actually went down.
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
So that's Rogal's part of the heresy. I mean, that dude, during the Siege of Terra, I totally left out. He bodies Fulgrim as well. Demon Primarch Fulgrim completely during the Siege of Terra. They're fighting on top of. It's in the book is Saturnine. I don't remember if it was on the Saturnine wall or not.
Yeah.
But Demon Primarch Fulgrim is just out there beating ass, and Rogal shows up, and I mean, Fulgrim is just shit talking him the whole time, just like, look at this, look at what you've done, look at all this, it's all to ruin, and don't you feel bad, Rogal? And Rogal's like, no. He's like, you know what I see? And he just starts laying out all the reasons why the Emperor's children are getting massacred right now. And then he goes, in all this, you're just an idiot sitting on top of a wall. And yeets him off the wall.
Hell yeah.
And that's Rogal. It
More
was
like Fulgrim.
Yeah. Nice one. Nice one. Fist bump. Finger poke. Fist bump. Yeah.
But I mean, like, the guy is just a hoss.
Yeah. It's incredible how thoughtful he is while also being, like, I don't want to say bullheaded.
He's a brute.
Yeah. He barrels his way through.
When it is time for Rogal to hands-on a fight, the dude's not tactical.
Right.
He's just he's like a world eater.
Yeah. He's just a ram charging in. Just head
and
first.
Just storms teeth, just crushing motherfuckers. He's so cool to read when he's in a fight because it's just a bully pushing into shit. And when you look at pictures of him, you see he's got this big chest, the big shoulder. You can just imagine it just crushing into shit.
Yeah.
He does have a cool look about him, too.
Yeah.
He looks like a fucking tower.
Yeah.
Like his war gear kit is sort of limited, but I think that's for the reason he doesn't need much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super. He's got like 3 or 4 pieces, but it's just like because it's all just fuck you level.
Yeah.
It's wild. And so, yeah, that's pretty much Rogal, like hardcore carried the Siege of Terra, but before that, he didn't do much in the heresy.
Yeah.
But
Except
when he got involved, he was involved.
Yeah. And I'd say that prep time probably reflects well in
Well,
when
yeah,
he did step in.
it's the only reason why they were able to hold the way they did.
Right. Now,
So what happened after?
after the heresy, he really carried a cross. He was very grief-stricken and felt very guilty. He blamed himself for a lot of how things went and the fall, like the fall of his brothers and the emperor getting, quote unquote, dying and stuff like that. Like that seems to have weighed on him heavy in his own way because he then left and took his legion on crusade. It's basically a form of penance, a way to try to atone. Imagine that's tracking down the traitors and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, that was probably during the Great Scouring where they chased them all the way back to the Eye of Terror.
Yeah. And from there, guilt and a feeling of failure seems to be the name of the game for Dorn for pretty much the rest of his
That's
career
unfortunate because he did not fail.
there.
Not at all.
I know.
Dude hardcore carried Terra for as long as he could.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, after a while of being out on crusade, he is called back by Guilliman. At this point, Guilliman has taken up his position as, basically he's the ruler of the Imperium at that point.
The new guy, yeah.
So he calls him back for the second founding, which is the establishment of the Codex Astartes. So Dorn goes back to Terra, and he's one of the Primarchs that does not agree with the Codex Astartes.
So he's one of the smart ones.
Yeah, he ardently does disagree with it. And at this point he's feeling like a failure, from the events of the Horacy, and now he's afraid he's about to let down his legion. And he's not impressed with the state of the Imperium either at this point, where it's been going in his absence. And because I believe this is where the Imperial Creed starts to develop, right?
The
at this
Imperial
point.
cult, you mean?
The Imperial cult, yes.
Yeah. The establishment of the ecclesiarchy and
So more and more Primarchs are being looked at as demigods at this point, which is something that he's
very much against.
Yeah, very much against. But he does end up deciding to comply with the codex eventually. So he
mistake.
To deal with that, he puts on the pain glove, which is did you, Jerry, earlier off air, I think you said it was something that went over his full body?
Yes, it's an electrofiber mesh that covers the body, not the head.
Okay, but it's called a glove, so that was a little confusing to me, and the pain is channeled through the hand.
I believe that's how they control it, is through a thing on the hand. The controls on the hand.
Okay.
But there's body gloves,
Right. I guess that's true. Yeah, glove is not strictly hands, but, him being a fist motif and stuff, I kind of
He's got like the reverse infinity gauntlet on.
Yeah. But he uses this device to go into a pain-induced meditation.
Fuck that.
Yeah. But that is a legitimate form of like reaching like an alternate state. He has a vision, and it's like there are people in the real world that use pain to, I don't recommend it, but they use pain to try to reach these alternate states and meditate in that way and stuff like that. So it's a little freaky.
Doesn't his Legion adopt that too?
So I don't know about like the pain glove itself. Okay.
Some of them do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still out there.
But kind of in that same vein of thought, he has a vision while he's in this pain-induced meditative state, and he comes out of it with this either realization or determined to do so. He's going to put his Legion through an atonement through their own quote-unquote pain glove.
Yeah.
And he decides to do this, and this decision is what leads to the events of the Iron Cage, or at least him and his Legion's participation in it.
The massacre at the Iron Cage.
Yeah, so that is going to be the way that his Legion can atone, almost like a trial by fire or something. It is their pain glove, kind of. And I believe that it's a very deliberate, like something he pronounces to them and stuff like that. And I believe it's also a way out for some of his sons, because he knows that they're not going to comply with the codex.
Yeah, it's a practical way for him to drop the Imperial Fists down to chapter strength rather than a Legion.
Yeah.
Which is just
by them
rough.
Dying honorably in battle, as opposed to, being labeled as traitors when they ultimately
refuse.
Yeah. So, woof. Ouch. So that
or Rogal, you could just tell Gilliman to stuff it.
Yeah, but I wonder if, because he does have, and that kind of calls back to his stance when it came to the Lion in the early days of the Crusades. He would defer where it seemed to be necessary.
Yeah, but this one wasn't necessary.
Yeah,
the Codex Astartes was a mistake. It was a huge mistake from Gilliman. Not only did it reduce your fighting strength and create this like incestuous problems they now have with chapters where people can't keep track of what chapters are from where or who's, but also it limited the amount of strategies that the Astartes could use, which made them incredibly predictable in battle.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And it was a decision made purely out of fear of another heresy, and it almost caused another civil war.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
All because Gilliman did not want another Primarch to have enough of a Legion to be able to challenge the Imperium. It was just a pure reactionary thing that he did.
Yeah. So, Dorn eventually did come around after that. What is the Iron Cage? It was a conflict between the Imperial Fists and the Iron Warriors. The Iron Warriors had set up a trap on, I did not write down the name of the planet. We've talked about this in a prior episode at some point. But it was clearly a trap, and Dorn led his men into it. grueling, hellish warfare that went on for weeks until eventually the Ultramarines did show up and they extracted Dorn and his legion and let the Iron Warriors escape. So it's kind of
You're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Ro was like, leave us alone.
Yep. Came down and broke the whole thing up, and that leaves it. So I think there's probably some question of like who would have won, who technically did won. I think it's kind of a contentious debate, because there was interference. I don't know.
Well, also, like, if Rogal knew that his men were going to get wiped out, like, does that count as like, oh, our trap got him? It's like, yeah, he was like, oh, this is going to cut off my hand. I'm going to stick my hand in here.
Right.
I don't know that you really get a credit for that.
That's a good point. Yeah. You didn't exactly outsmart him if he knew what was going on. And they did. And, just kind of once again, barreling forward, just headlong into these traps, just throwing themselves at them, kind of attrition style.
Yep. Almost like the Death Guard.
Yeah.
That's the way the Death Guard do things.
Yeah.
Just walk straight at you.
Yeah. But, yep. Guilliman intervenes, pulls him out. And at that point, Rogal Dorn had the Legion kind of withdraw for about a period of I think it was 2 decades or something like that to get reorganized to comply with the Codex
to
Astartes.
get into chapters and shit.
Yeah. There were a couple of successor chapters that were still active at that time, but
Black Templars, most definitely.
Okay. Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
The Black Templars actually found a pretty cool loophole around the Codex Astartes. And
oh, yeah?
The Codex Astartes says that the only time that a chapter can go Legion strength is if they're on an active crusade. So the Black Templars have literally just been on a state of active crusade since their forming.
We're just always on crusade.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah.
And so they very well may be at Legion strength and nobody knows.
Cool. And then, what are you going to do about it? Because we're on a crusade.
And the Black Templars are the hardest of the hardcore, zealot fighters. So that's a fight that's best just left alone.
So after Rogal Dorn and his legion kind of came back in, they were Codex compliant. And I don't think he ever did, at least to our knowledge from what we know, kind of get past that guilt, that feeling of self-failure, especially now that he's also complied with something that he ardently disagrees with. He'll do his duty, but I think the Dorn that we probably have at this point is a very broken guy compared to what he was. However strong, I don't believe for a moment that he ever slumped his shoulders or anything like that.
No, but he's probably much more compliant and less willing to fight.
Yeah. And probably also looking for ways to atone. The Iron Cage was about atonement and stuff like that. But then so was his crusade prior to that. So it's at what point have you atoned?
That's the thing is you got you can't.
Yeah.
You gotta let it go at some point.
If you're just perpetually punishing yourself, at a certain point, it has to be for something. I don't know.
Yeah, there has to be an end goal in mind.
Yeah. So this goes on until the first Black Crusade starts kicking up. Chaos has amassed a large fleet, or is amassing, I believe at this point, a large fleet led by Abaddon in the Eye of Terror. And Dorn leads 3 companies of his legions into basically hit and run strikes against this fleet, trying to prevent them from getting prepared. He's crippling ships, crippling their life support systems, just doing stuff like that to very much disrupt them getting together,
trying to keep them from building mass.
Yeah, basically kind of trying to keep them at bay with limited numbers, because I imagine they're still quite decimated.
Because they're in chapter strength.
Yeah.
Thanks, Guilliman.
Yeah, exactly. And
fucking idiot.
Yeah.
How stupid do you have to be to cut your forces that small when your enemies are not doing that?
Yeah. But and it didn't appear to turn out well for Dorn in the end. Ultimately, him and his forces ended up cornered aboard the flagship of the Chaos Fleet, known as the Sword of Sacrilege.
Yeah.
And they were cornered, and apparently none survived to tell the tale of Dorn's last stand. So he is believed to be dead, although there are no witnesses that came out and you know,
we
we don't know how it happened. We don't
I think
know
they have like his hand.
and that is the only evidence that there is that he is dead. Although to me, that's not necessarily evidence that he's dead.
No.
But they have his left hand. It is kept in stasis. It is skeletal. And the chapter masters, the chapter masters get their names engraved on the bones of this skeletal left fist of Rogal Dorn. And it's kept in a shrine as a holy relic. And it's meant to be a reminder of Dorn's sacrifice and commitment, and to inspire such in his sons in the grim darkness that lies ahead of them.
Although he ain't dead.
You don't think he's dead? I didn't think you'd think he was dead.
No, nobody. No,
I don't
dead.
believe that either.
When they kill a Primarch, they're fucking dead. They're dead,
Yeah.
dead. They're not like off-screen dead.
Yeah, I think they're doing a bit of a Tyr from Norse mythology sort of deal, where he loses his hand.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I think.
He becomes the god of justice.
Right.
Because of that.
Yeah, instead of war. Yeah. So that's my theory.
Yes.
I like.
So Jerry, you like lists? Do you have a list of his equipment?
I do have a list of the equipment.
I thought you might.
We've already gone over some of it.
We have, but
okay.
that's okay.
Yeah.
We went over Storm's Teeth.
That giant fucking
Big-ass
two-handed
chain
chain
sword.
sword.
It's worth a look at.
Oh yeah, that thing's mammoth
Yeah, look at it, guys. Isn't it huge?
and throbbing and red.
Yep. Red
Big.
with blood.
His bolter is called the Voice of Terra, and it was gifted by the Adeptus Custodes.
Oh, nice.
Huh. The Voice of Terra. That's a good name for a gun. I like that. Yeah.
His Auric armor, which is a power armor,
Right.
but it's made of the same Auric adamantium alloy that the Emperor's is.
Ooh,
Oh.
that's why it's gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, because AU is the chemical symbol for gold, because Auric means golden.
Oh, son of a bitch. That's cool. Nice.
That would
And-
be heavy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I couldn't even imagine.
After some attempts on his life, he was seen in a Thunderhawk called the Aetos Deos.
Huh.
Adios.
Adios.
That's
Dios.
what that sounds like to me. Is that
Adios,
adios? Yeah.
Yes.
He had some involvement with the Soul Spear. Have you heard of that?
The Soul
No.
Spear.
It had like the output of a vortex missile, but like concentrated.
Whoa.
Like
Jesus.
it was some sort of ancient relic weapon that he was briefly involved with.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting.
And the Pain Glove, which we talked about, the electrofiber mesh that covers his body and provides torturous pain for meditation purposes.
right.
Dear Lord. Yeah.
And of course, there's the Phalanx, which was like his
Yes.
giant mammoth ship that was basically like a flying asteroid.
Yeah. It was the starship that he had from Inwit.
Yes.
Inuit.
All right.
Oh man, Dorn is cool. Dorn is a cool guy. I was surprised by like you, Ben. I was surprised how much I did like this guy and how much like depth there really is to him.
Yeah, it's not that he's lacking emotion, it's just he doesn't usually expand on it like Primarchs do.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Um,
he's true to what I believe the Stoic philosophy is. Like they don't, Stoics aren't supposed to be emotionless.
Right.
They're supposed to be in command of their emotions.
that's kind of like the
Yeah.
cartoon version of
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of videos I see, like they describe him as like stone and granite. I'm like, not really.
No. Yeah.
He's measured, but he can be hard, certainly.
Yeah.
But like for going back to when his champion lost, he wasn't cold and edged to him. He was very fatherly and understanding. It's like,
Yeah.
you just failed to do this and this and this. You didn't like screw up necessarily.
Yeah. Just kind of helping him learn from the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's,
Oh,
he's like that with his human crew as well. He's very willing to interact with his human crew.
Yeah.
And they, don't have that same kind of reaction to him that they have with other Primarchs where they're almost just like inherently afraid of him. There's this one iterator. I'm trying to think of what his name is. I'm going to fail. I'm not even going to try. But he calls him Rogal, just calls him by his first name.
Huh.
And he actually likes he likes to poke fun at Rogal when they first meet. And it's just a very human interaction where like Rogal throws out like how are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm old, but he throws off some kind of like backhanded joke comment at Rogal, and Rogal actually smiles and like pats him on the shoulder. And it's like, well, that's not the stone-edged Primarch that I constantly hear about in all these other.
Yeah. He's very, I don't know about human, but he's very relatable.
Yeah.
Interpersonally with people. He reminds me now, talking about him, of a teacher.
He does. Yes.
Yeah.
He's
the cool teacher that like helps you understand the whys and the hows,
Yeah,
something.
he's very willing. There's another in the Praetorian of Dorn, there's a character that I like. His name is Arcamus. He kind of has a freak out. Like him and Dorn are watching a situation develop, and Arcamus is kind of trying to call out the tactics. And Dorn's just like, nah, forget it. And Arcamus starts having this freak out where he's just like, we need to act. And Dorn very calmly is just like, I understand why you think that we need to do this. Now, here's why we're not going to, and here's what's going to happen. If I'm wrong, we're going to, and like he just very calmly explains everything to him. Whereas like when you get to with the lion, when people question him, he just gets pissed.
Yeah. The lion seems very petulant compared to Dorn.
Especially in that interaction, it's important to remember the lion's new.
Yeah.
He is very young as far as Primarchs go, and he's still trying to really prove himself. But a few of the things I've read about the lion and a few situations that I've seen him react in, he is kind of a dick. But Dorn, I have a great admiration for Dorn. I think he's a good character. I think because he's not wild in his displays of emotions, people somehow translate that into emotionless or very distant and cold. And from what I read, that's not what I got.
No, that's not the Primarch I read either there. No. Yeah, no, for sure. That's a Primarch you could have a beer with right there.
Yeah. He wages a good war on Terra.
That was good.
You're not going to see the Imperial Fists get ruled by Terra.
You do a good George Bush. Surprisingly good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Is that a compliment?
Any sort of voice acting to me is a compliment.
Okay, great. So you do a really good Down syndrome kid. Thanks.
Wooden spoon.
There is no spoon.
Oh man.
So I think that this episode has been shouted out to us a couple of times, but most recently by Sergeant
Screw it.
There it is.
That's how it's pronounced. Yeah.
Sergeant Screw it. He was very communicative. I appreciate that. I like long comments. It's a good discussion.
Yeah, and it was like good feedback and like
absolutely
dude was nice. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
So,
he was very you can see his comments, the very short but good conversation we had. If you look up on our YouTube page, there's a comment in our Pirates section. Yeah. And that's where you'll find it. It does talk about the kind of long-term history of Cult of Lore and kind of what we're looking at, because he was curious about that, which is always good. He had advice for us, which was very accurate.
He's absolutely right. So he's like, we should be, because we have, it's been a while since we've done Warhammer stuff and we've been kind of exploring some other things. And he's like, you know what? Your views reflect that the Warhammer is where it's at.
And he's also like, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
And then we also took the time to remind you guys that we are not a Warhammer channel.
Right. So that is the thing. Like,
eventually we will drop down to where Warhammer is just one of the videos we put out randomly.
Right. Yeah.
And Lord of the Rings will be the one that we cover on the reg.
Yeah. That's eventually. Yeah.
There's no need for heavy breathing right now.
Right. But that is the long-term plan.
Yeah. But you don't want us to continue to cover the same thing over and over and over and over again. We won't be good at it.
Right.
I have a hard time. My brain really likes to dive into things hard and deep and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So for long-term sustainability, that's really tough for me.
Yeah. Like it's not going to be 10 years of Warhammer.
Correct.
Yeah. So, but it could
we've
very
done
well
what?
be 10
3?
years of Cult of Lore. Yeah. Yeah. It has been 3.
3 years solid of 40K is pretty good, guys. Yeah. I mean, and we've barely scratched the surface. It's not like we're running out of material.
This is not something that's happening anytime soon. We just always want to be upfront about that.
Yeah, we never want to, when we get like months out from this being a thing, we don't want people to be surprised.
Right. Yeah.
So this is something I think you can find in our episode 0 that we talk about.
Yeah. So,
and we always try to take anytime it comes up, take the opportunity to remind people just so it's a little less painful and unexpected. Yep. We realize that when we switch over, we're going to take a view hit. Hopefully our personalities are enough to keep people. But if they aren't, no harm, no foul, guys. You're here for 40K. And if it's not 40K, then move on.
And we have a ton of 40K ahead of us. We're not even, it's not even in our scope where we're going to run.
It's just something that anytime somebody says like, hey, you guys need to cover more 40K, we always take the opportunity to remind them that it's got a shelf life.
Right.
A long shelf life.
Yeah.
Long shelf life.
Yeah. So
like 2 years bare minimum.
Yeah, that would be the short end of it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So don't get all huffy about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just, you always just want to remind people.
Yeah.
So that's it for Rogal Dorn. Eric, take us out of here. This is the part where people stop paying attention.
All right. But we love you if you do. Thank you guys so much for watching and for liking and subscribing and commenting. We always love that. So, and we try to be responsive to them. And again, if we're not fast about responding, we do try. We take what you guys say to heart and often incorporate it into the show in some way or another. So, feedback is something that we're always open to, no promises, of course. But anyway, if you enjoy Cult of Lore and want to check out some other Cult Talk Net shows, you could check out Cult Talk's Conspiracy, where Ty and Bailey talk about all sorts of conspiracy theories, as well as cryptids and UFOs and other sort of strange events and stuff. And they do some deep dives in their episodes. So that's pretty cool. We also have a mini series, American Pie Slices, where Ty and Michael take 6 episodes to talk about one movie. So that was a pretty neat deep dive, and they had some pretty good drink recommendations as well.
And I think we're going to try to do something similar.
Yes.
We're going to do that with the TV show Hannibal.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be Bites or Slice. No, we can't do Slices. No. Slices, but Bites.
Bites is fitting. Yeah. I like Bites.
And we won't do drinks. We'll do something else.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we won't be drinking in the mic for you, Oh, no, you did it. Damn it.
Maybe we'll have a different meat product with every...
Ooh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
That would be cool.
That's a good, yeah. Nice little recipe maybe to go along with it. Anyway, you can also check out the Cult of Campbell, where we talk about Bruce Campbell movies and rate his performance or presence in the movie as groovy or not groovy. Groovy is not necessarily a good movie. Not groovy is not necessarily a bad movie. Yep, it's all about the Campbell, baby. So we talk about that. That's a cool show. And coming up is our yearly celebration of Halloween in Culttober, where we have special Culttober events, scary movies and stuff like that, where we dive into stuff, special shows on all of our shows, special episodes on all of our shows. We also, if you're listening to us via podcast feed, there is an entire channel dedicated to just shows that have aired during Culttober. And there's a fuckload of them. So,
and that one's going to start getting a little weird.
Yeah, it is. There's all.
We're looking at revamping some of that.
Yeah,
for the future. So
we'll see how that goes. Okay, I think that's it, guys. Seriously, thank you so much for listening. We have more 40K coming up the next time we come out, so it's not going to be another.
Yep. Next deviation. Up is
the Imperial Guard. Chapter 2.
And then after that, we'll probably do another Primarch. We've been putting off Magnus the Red for a while, so maybe him. We'll see.
Ooh, yeah, because it is a traitor up next. So
it should be. Yeah. We've bounced around so much. I ain't even trying to keep up with that anymore.
Yeah, but thank you guys for being here for it. We really do appreciate you sticking with us while we do deviate and all that. All right. I think that's everything I got. Just more appreciation and love your way. That's it. Love you guys.
All right, guys. And with that, I'm Ben.
I'm Eric.
And this has been the Dorn of a New Day.